The battle for the mind of North America will be fought in the video arena, the Videodrome.
This week on Slashback Cinema, we're tuning into David Cronenberg's mind-melting body horror classic Videodrome from 1983, a film that warps reality, rewires your brain, and makes you question if your TV is watching you back.
So grab your signal, adjust your tracking, and prepare for a deep dive into the weirdest broadcast you'll ever experience. Because once you've listened to our podcast about Videodrome, your mind will be permanently altered.
Well, I guess I don't have to ask you what we're talking about today. It's Videodrome, the Cronenberg classic.
Oh, damn. Yeah. So have you seen this one before?
I definitely had seen scenes from it. I feel like, again, if you had HBO in the early 80s, this movie was played over and over again. So I had seen certain scenes of it, and there's also certain images that get repeated a lot, like the giant lips on the television when the television starts to expand. And I've read several reviews of the film that say it's the scene where he's having sex with his television. I don't know exactly how people are interpreting what happens there as sex. He sticks his head in a television, but yeah, so I kind of knew the basic plot. Some of the images are indelible. I don't know that I ever saw it all the way through. How about you?
I'm coming into this one cold. So
Yeah.
I'd seen a chunk of Cronenberg movies, but never this one. This was something else. Right out of the gate, I texted you about 5 minutes into this, and I was like, don't watch this one with the family.
That is extremely good advice. So, did you sit down with your whole? Did you gather all the kids together in a wholesome family moment? And
Yeah,
say,
we finished reading the Bible, and gather around after dinner as a family to watch. No, it was just me, but I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, you can tell right away it's going to be super weird. I was looking forward to a conversation with you about this because Cronenberg is so famous for this bizarre body horror.
Yeah,
and he's like a director that I feel like he just has weird dreams at night or some kind of crazy acid trips, and then he directly films whatever the hell that was without any attempt to completely make it make sense. He just really commits to bizarre visual storytelling, and I was very curious what you think of it.
So Cronenberg and David Lynch, I always felt they were sort of on the same wavelength, where Lynch went to this kind of weird, kind of surreal space that kind of haunted you. You had a different view on reality after watching his stuff. Cronenberg, there was always this darkness and kind of just raw, almost violence to his films. He definitely took it to a darker place. And his movies always like left you with this weird feeling afterwards. And this one certainly did that to me after watching it. Usually I'll have an opinion right away after watching a movie. This one, I've been ruminating on this since I watched
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I like that connection to Lynch because I feel like both of them, people try to make sense of them and then explain the visuals. And I feel like, I don't know that Cronenberg and David Lynch really want to be clearly understood. I'm not sure that they've thought through exactly what these things mean. But yeah, I felt the same way after watching this. I thought, I don't know how this conversation's going to go. I'm also not sure if it's even possible to explain the plot of this movie. Should we give it a shot?
So it's set in Toronto. It's the early 80s, and it follows CEO Max Wren around. He runs this small UHF television station, and he basically stumbles onto this signal that's being broadcast out of Malaysia. And he's always trying to like show edgy content. There's like soft porn, or he's looking for something that's going to be provocative. And he comes across this channel that appears to be just a channel of torture and kind of snuff films. And so he gets exposed to it, and it starts consuming him, and then ultimately leads to it altering his reality. So he doesn't know what's real or what's not. And it basically him breaking down throughout the film. And there's larger forces at play in terms of mind control and using Videodrome for their motives.
Yeah, that's a good summary. It's also got this kind of intrigue of who is a good guy and who's a bad guy, and is there a conspiracy at work? You know what? There's so many movies that I feel like take off on this movie. Do you remember watching The Game? I think it's a Fincher movie from maybe the 90s. It was a movie about a guy who his friends throw him a birthday party and he's super rich. That movie had some of this quality of like, you don't know what side people are on. You don't know who's telling the truth and who's not. If you like this movie, you'll like The Game. And if you like The Game, you'll like this. Also The Ring, because it's got this kind of plot idea of like, once you see this video image, you're ultimately affected by it and probably going to die.
Right.
So it does seem like this movie was just very influential.
What I always loved about science fiction is it tends to be social commentary and also kind of future looking. So it's a reflection on kind of current state and what's potentially to come.
Right.
And there's just so much in this, even though the format's changed in terms of like how we're interacting with these screens and media. But the idea that what you watch and view can shape your reality and can control you, it's so relevant and current to
Right.
the shit that's going down today. It was
Yeah.
sort of like, damn, spot on,
Right,
Cronenberg.
40 years ago. Yeah. You've talked in the past about movies that feel and just like smell and look like the 1980s. And in some ways, this movie has that. The co-star of this movie is Debbie Harry, the
I didn't know
singer.
she was in it. I was like, wow,
Oh, yeah.
Blondie's in this.
Right. And I think in the one of the first times you see her, she's wearing like a purple and pink headband. It's very 80s looking. In some ways, the look of the movie is very 40 years old. It's also about videotapes, which I mean, I don't remember the last time I've held a videotape in my hand, but they come up a lot thematically in this movie. So sometimes the movie feels technologically old, but then it also feels like it's 10 years in our future because James Woods' character has this vision, and you can't always tell if the things that are happening to him are real or if he's imagining it. But he discovers this like slit in his chest, and then he can shove things into it and pull things out of it, and he sticks a videotape in there, and then it almost like he's like the VCR. Then he plays the tape, but the tape also seems kind of fleshy. This is a very Cronenberg thing of he imagines technology to be living and breathing, and there's this cool image of the television kind of like veiny and breathing,
Yeah,
and
I agree. Like that note about Cronenberg and that intersection of biological machines and bodies being distorted and altered, the body horror thing. The whole like slit thing with the videotape reminded me of Existenz, which I think people
yeah.
had ports in the back of their heads. That was
Hmm.
another Cronenberg film, but they're always like kind of disturbing. That particular one, like the first scene where they show that with the slit, and then he puts the gun into his belly
Yeah.
also, which and then the gun vanishes. He's like, where the hell's the
Yeah.
gun? Yeah,
Inside of it. Yeah, he loses the gun inside
yeah.
his chest. Yeah.
So I thought really interesting concept. Some of the visuals have not held up over time. They look very dated, and maybe some of these would win our cheese award, but the
Yeah.
overall idea, concept, like, yeah, really, really provocative.
I'm kind of surprised no one's ever thought to remake this. Our relationship to our phones now, it seems like easy to imagine. Our phones are practically embedded into our bodies now. There's a scene where he pulls that gun out of his chest, and then the gun kind of melds onto his hand. So the end of his arm is half machine, half flesh. And then he's got this gun, this kind of like flesh shooting gun that's bizarre looking. I mean, the jump from that to our relationship with our cell phones in our hand. It's like a Black Mirror episode waiting to happen. So
Totally.
that slit, I wanted to ask you about that slit that's in his stomach because it's clearly like meant to be kind of vaginal looking. And I feel like it freaks people out to look at it. It's very weird looking. And it's big. It's a foot long slit in the middle of his chest that he can kind of shove things into and pull things out of. Did the visual not work for you? Technologically, it was hard to pull that off 40 years ago.
That didn't bother me. It shows up in multiple scenes. There's like a lot of interaction with the slit and like
Yeah.
him getting programmed.
This gets to the point where you can't exactly tell if any of this is actually happening or if it's
Right.
completely in James Woods' mind. Like, did you think this movie is actually happening the way you're seeing it, or did you think all of this is just James
It,
Wood losing his mind?
right. It definitely leaves it open. And I love how they like set up where he's been having these kind of thoughts, or there's been a sequence of events where he gets involved with Nikki Brand, who's played by Debbie Harry at the beginning of the
Hmm.
film. They have like this weird sexual S&M thing, and then
Hmm.
his reality starts to fracture after he's watched the Videodrome and been exposed to it. But in the beginning there, you don't really realize what's happening until there's that one scene where his assistant comes to his apartment and she goes to grab something and he slaps her. But then as he slaps her, then it cuts to Nikki Brand being slapped by him. And
Yeah,
then he's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, I slapped you." And she's like, "You didn't slap me." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I didn't slap." And then like tries to
right,
play it off. From that point on, it is really hard to tell. Is he hallucinating? Is this happening?
right.
Like, did that scene just happen? Did he imagine it? You don't know. You become ungrounded after that as to what's happening. Do Spectacular Optical Corporation even exist?
Right.
The whole thing with Dr. Oblivion, was that even real? Is he imagining it? But those are like the two forces that show up to that seem to be vying for control of Videodrome, and he's at the center of it. Like they're both trying to program him, and sometimes it's head trip, and other times it's them physically shoving a tape into his slit to give him a new program, which
Right.
the whole movie is just wild.
Yes, that sequence where a guy sticks a tape into James Wood. For a while, the guy's arm is stuck inside of James Wood's chest cavity, and my wife yelled, "Oh, he's practicing his Kegels." and I wanted to give her credit on the podcast. Did you see that Rick Baker, who I think had already won an Academy Award for what was the movie? Oh, American
American
Werewolf in
Werewolf.
London. That he did the effects on this movie, but he only had 2 months to work on it, and he needed like 6 months. This movie was filmed in Canada on a cheap budget, so it's not, I think, Rick Baker's best work. But I mean, even mediocre Rick Baker is better than what most people could produce in the
Yeah.
1980s. This is a period of time where there's no CGI. And I saw an interview with Rick Baker, and he said he read the script and he thought, well, how the F are we supposed to do any of this? Like, it is such a weird script.
And some of the stuff like the TV set and kind of like the distorting of reality, and there
Yeah.
was a lot of breathing tapes or things
Mm-hmm.
transforming. Those held up pretty well. Some of the stuff where that event where Spectacular Optical Corporation is having their annual showcasing the spring line, and the
Right.
CEO, who's actually like the head of this nefarious Videodrome operation, is up there when Max takes him out. That scene where
He shoots the head of the company. James Wood shoots him with this flesh gun that he has, but it looks super fake. Like
it's
not
super
like,
fake.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, ooh, yeah, that's the limitations of the time showing up right
Yes.
there, or the budget. The cheese award would definitely be applied to that particular scene.
I prefer a hunk of cheese.
I did wonder about the logic of the plot. I feel like sometimes Cronenberg falls in love with an image. Like, what if the TV were kind of fleshy and breathing? But could you understand what this company was trying to accomplish? Their goal seemed to be to convince James Woods, who runs this UHF channel. And by the way, what's more 80s than a UHF channel, right? It's like channel 87. And they want James Woods to play this Videodrome show over the UHF so that everybody gets tumors. And what is the purpose of that exactly? I don't even understand what this company's trying to
There was
accomplish.
that segment of dialogue where when Max has that interaction with Harlan, and then the leader of the Videodrome shows up, Barry, he realizes they're working together.
Yeah.
Harlan does say to him that there needs to be a cleansing or a purging of the populace, and he has this whole
Okay, I missed that.
tirade. It definitely feels like it's this fascist rant about cleansing the population. So from their perspective, it seems like they want to use his station to then do a mass eradication of the North American populace because they've gotten softer. It's like kind of Sodom and Gomorrah. They're no longer pure and need to be removed, is kind of what seems to be the agenda there. So that seemed pretty clear. They're brainwashing him to take out those two executives that might be a barrier to him broadcasting Videodrome on that UHF station.
But James Woods' character, Max, shoots his two partners, but you don't become president of the company because you just shot the two people who you worked with.
Fair point, promotions all around.
Yes.
Whatever appears on the television screen emerges as raw experience for those who watch it. Therefore, television is reality, and reality is less than television.
What I walked away from this movie thinking is it's just about our very bizarre relationship with technology and media.
Yeah.
And the way in which the media we watch literally biologically changes our brains. And okay, maybe doesn't give us tumors, but it does change us. And I felt like the movie was asking a question.
I mean, cell phone against your ear might give you
Yes,
tumors.
that's true.
So how far away are we?
Right. But even the question of how do the movies and music we listen to affect us, that was a huge issue even in the early 1980s. And it's been an issue with all technology. People listening to the radio, people watching movies. Parents used to say to their kids in the 50s, don't sit too close to the television.
Right.
Because they thought that being too close to the cathode ray tube was going to, I don't know,
Right.
cause you to get cancer or something.
Yeah.
But the idea of, if you watch pornography, it makes you more sexually aggressive. And then James Woods argues the opposite end. His character argues, well, I'd rather people watch violence than commit violence. So he's making the opposite argument of media doesn't make you more violent. It just, it gives you an outlet to watch that
Right.
stuff. And I thought that argument is still just as alive and intense today with video games, let's say, as it was in the 80s, as it was in the 50s, as it was in the 30s with radio. It's that argument just seems to be perennial.
Yeah, the other layer to it is, current state and events with social media. Obviously, that was not even a thing back in the day, but it's still relevant to what's going on in terms of the idea that you can start taking in information that starts warping your thoughts or makes you go down a rabbit hole and changes your behavior, how you interact as an individual in society. And essentially, you're seeing shifts in our country right now where they're trying to control social media and aggregate the message. I mean, this is not unique to the United States. You control the media, the communication, what people are receiving, and then you're controlling their thoughts or how they like perceive or act within society. So we've watched a lot of stuff for this show. This is definitely one where it takes you to that heady space, and there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, it's got this crazy mix of just bizarre visuals and horror sequences, and then just this intellectual idea of what our relationship is. And I feel like it does a good job striking that balance. Like you could just watch it and be entertained by it, or you could walk away like pondering like how much is media changing me and how much is the things that I'm viewing actually like rewiring my brain. Did you have like favorite scenes from the movie?
That first scene where you can see the actual effects of being exposed to Videodrome with the slit and the gun. We talked about that, where it starts to manifest, or the TV gets really weird. A lot of that surreal stuff. That whole scene with the cathode raid mission we just mentioned was really interesting. Like it was such a unique take on this dystopian reality where at first you don't know what's going on. You think he's going into a kind of homeless shelter, and the way it's set up and shot, just really interesting. And then, you know, spoiler alert, even the final scene and ending of the movie, just a shot on the boat, and it's him watching the TV, and then you can't decide if he's hallucinating or not. And then he's watching the TV, and Nikki, Debbie Harry's character, basically tells him that he needs to evolve or transcend to the next level by killing himself. But he's watching it on a Videodrome set. So like, who was really telling him to do that? Was it her?
Right.
Did she? And you start to wonder, was she even real? Like, because she sort of vanishes to go with Videodrome. Was she a plant? Like, it makes you question the whole thing.
Right.
What about you?
Yeah. I think the image that I remembered from this movie, Debbie Harry on TV, and he sees her face, then it keeps zooming in and zooming in, so it's just like her lips and her teeth. And then the TV kind of like breathes or like kind of expands so that he's like interacting with it. And the way he kind of like gets sucked into the TV. I mean, it seems so easy now to do something like that, but holy cow, I felt like this movie should have been acknowledged for special effects in 1983.
The other visual that stood out to me that was generally disturbing was the whole Videodrome channel. It was this fleshy wall, and it was so grainy, and it was like images of people being tortured, and then there's scenes where he gets sucked into that space, and then he's given the whip to torture, you think someone, but he's torturing a TV that has someone on it, and it keeps changing who it is. Really disturbing. Such a kind of unsettling sequence. It definitely gets under your skin.
All right, so you ready for stabby scores?
All right. So this was one that really stuck with me after watching it. Some of the other ones we watched have been like, oh, that's really entertaining. And, you know, you think about certain scenes. This one just, maybe I got exposed to the Videodrome because I had a hard time letting go of this one after I watched it. But incredibly inventive, original, so relevant to what's going on today, like the kind of core message of what we just talked about in terms of influence of media, what you watch, changing your thoughts, reality, and potentially impacting your behaviors and how you show up as a human being is central to this movie. I'm giving this one 5 stabs.
Wow. Bold. Good for you. I'm really happy to hear how much you liked it. I'm giving it 4 stabs. I feel like it is such an iconic movie, but I didn't enjoy it as a story as much as I appreciated it. I like the ideas of the movie, but some of the storytelling, I just thought I'm a little confused by that. And the fact that he kind of just commits suicide at the end, it felt to me like a little bit of a cop-out. I wanted the movie to go further, and it sort of felt like a little too neat. I appreciate what the movie is exploring. It didn't powerfully affect me like some of the other movies we saw.
Shall we play a game?
I have a surprise for you. I thought we would do a little 80s trivia quiz because Videodrome and David Cronenberg was so, I think, influenced by his own dreams and nightmares. I decided that even though we've already talked about this movie, my questions were all going to be inspired by Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Here we go.
Question number 1. There was a successful Freddy Krueger toy in the 80s that you could pull its string and then it would say lines in the Freddy Krueger voice. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to read you 4 sayings and that the Freddy Krueger doll says. 3 of these, the doll actually did say. 1 of them, the doll did not say.
Okay.
Number 1, pleasant dreams. Number 2, watch out, Freddy's back. Number 3, let's be friends. And number 4, I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
I really hope that they included I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy. I hope that was on the list. I'm going to say the one that was not on there was let's be friends.
The one that the doll did not say is I'm your boyfriend now,
Damn it.
Nancy. The doll actually does say, let's be friends. I don't understand the whole concept of this doll. This is a doll based on a story about a child murderer. And what was the company that thought, you know what kids love? Child murderers. And so let's be friends is one of the things this doll actually says. But I thought I could get you because let's
man.
be friends.
I
Not seem the most
really
realistic.
wanted it to be the Nancy one.
All right, here's another one. Wes Craven has said in interviews there were multiple inspirations for Nightmare on Elm Street, including several news stories at the time of several children who died in their sleep. He also had a bully, real-life bully at Wes Craven's youth named Freddy Krueger. But Craven also mentioned that there was a song that helped inspire A Nightmare on Elm Street. What was that song? You ready?
All right.
Number 1, Dream On by Aerosmith, 1970, came out in 1973. Number 2, Dreamweaver by Gary Wright, 1975. Number 3, Dreams by Fleetwood Mac, 1977. Do you remember that song?
Yeah.
You want to sing any of these for us?
We should play. I'm not going to sing it, but we should play a clip.
And number 4, Dream by Ted Nugent, which came out in 1980. So which of those 4 songs inspired Wes Craven?
Dreamweaver.
It was Dreamweaver. How the hell did you get that?
I feel like when we were doing that one, I had read somewhere that had come up as a reference.
Okay, here's the last question. A lot of work went into this last one. And you've done well so far. Out of 2 questions, you got 1 right, 1 wrong. They were both intended to trick you. So I think you're doing excellent. This last one, I want to thank my brother Noam because I called him up and I said, I need you to help me brainstorm things Freddy Krueger could say and ways that he could kill people. And working together, he and I came up with, it's surprisingly hard to come up with these. So tip of the hat to the writers that produced these movies. Here's the question. So Freddy Krueger became famous for the catchphrases that he would say before each kill. I'm about to read you 4 Freddy catchphrases. 1 of them I made up, but the other 3 are actual real Freddy Krueger catchphrases from the entire range of Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
Okay.
Number 1, Joey pulls back the sheets of his waterbed and discovers that there's a human nude woman swimming inside of his waterbed. Suddenly, Freddy bursts out of the bed, pulls Joey under the water, and says, "How's this for a wet dream?" Okay, that's number 1. All right. Number 2, Freddy Krueger sticks Bobby's head into a sizzling frying pan and says, "This is your brain on Freddy. Any questions?" Number 3, when Freddy kills Spencer with a toy that looks similar to a Nintendo Power Glove, Freddy says, "Now I'm playing with power." Are any of these taking you back to the 80s?
Yes.
And number 4, when John discovers that he's in a house that's falling from the sky, he looks out the window, sees Freddy flying on a broomstick, and Freddy says, "I'll get you, my pretty, and your little soul too." So here's the 4 real quick. Freddy says to Joey, "How's this for a wet dream?" Freddy says to Bobby, "This is your brain on Freddy. Any questions?" Freddy says to Spencer, "Now I'm playing with power." And Freddy says to John, "I'll get you, my pretty, and your little soul too." 3 of those are real catchphrases from Nightmare on Elm Street movies. 1 of them is fake.
Wow. Boy, we're just going to work through this live. I feel like the first one, that seems so spot on for what would happen. Yeah, on brand. And the last one too, like, it seems kind of out there, but I'm going to say that probably happened. So that drives me to brain on drugs or now I'm playing with power. I feel like the drugs one was so ubiquitous, like that seems like that's something they would have riffed on. The Power Glove seems a little bit more specific, and given that maybe we were nerds and maybe we were playing some video games, I'm gonna lean in on that as being the one that did not happen.
All right, so your final answer is when Freddy kills Spencer with a toy that looks similar to a Power Glove, Freddy says, "Now I'm playing with power." You're saying that is the fake one.
Yes.
That me and my brother thought of. The one that my brother actually invented with me was, "This is your brain on Freddy. Any questions?" That was
my
not
God!
in any Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
You guys should have been there in the writer's room riffing on some ideas. Damn, that's good.
I know. It took, we came up with probably 50 different possibilities.
Wow.
We even got AI to help us generate Freddy quotes and Freddy kinds of murders to help us come up with possibilities.
Well, good job, Noam. You got me. And you led me to a path of destruction. I failed this quiz.
Well, you know what? It was an especially hard quiz. And as you can tell, we worked very hard to come up with like catchphrases from the 80s that could work. But yes, he said, Freddy says the line, Now I'm playing with power. I think that might be a Nightmare on Elm Street 4. He definitely says the line, I'll get you in your little soul too, which feels like Freddy's running out of catchphrases at that point.
Right. Yeah. You're really riffing on Wizard of Oz here, but okay.
Yes, that's a little weak. That was the quiz. I'm very curious if our listeners did better than this, if they knew the answers to these questions. If people have ideas for questions that they want us to use, feel free to send those in. And if you like this little segment, let us know. We'll do more in the future. That wraps up another trip down memory lane. Hopefully you enjoyed revisiting Videodrome as much as we did.
Don't forget to follow us on social or at slashbackcinema.com on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Subscribe however you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. And if you dig the show, leave us a review. It helps other people find out about the podcast.
And we want to hear from you. If you have a favorite memory from the 70s or 80s, classic movie you want us to dissect, drop us a line at slashbackcinema.com. Your suggestions keep the conversation alive.
Thanks for tuning in to Slashback Cinema. We'll see you next week.
Now I'm playing with power.